Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We are here with Lindsay Halsey from Pathfinder SEO for our GoWP Expert Series on SEO. Really quick before we get started, actually, didn't realize I had it on that setting, so we can be equals here on the screen. Let me say a few words real fast about GoWP. And what we're all about for folks who may not fully be familiar with us, and we'll get right into things. So if you are here, go ahead and say hi. You might be watching this on Facebook in our digital agency owners community. You could be watching it on YouTube. I think we're live on like LinkedIn and Twitter/X, and I don't know. Restream lets us stream everywhere. So let us know where you're watching from. Say hi, and that way we know folks are here. So yeah, really quick about GoWP. At GoWP, we create happiness for digital agencies and help them to become more profitable and to scale growth with their business. So whether you're looking to grow your team, you need a developer, copywriter, designer, or virtual assistant. Or you're interested in outsourcing services like maintenance and content edits so that you can focus on growth, we've got you covered. We'd love to talk about how GoWP can help your agency grow. So feel free to reach out anytime for that conversation. And if you're looking for coaching and mentorship and more, kind of the thing that, we're doing here today with this video, things to take your agency to that next level, I invite you to check out the Micro Agency Academy. You can enroll now. It's open enrollment to be well on your way to scaling your agency. This is something that GoWP is doing along with really incredible Chris Lemma and Pete Perry. And the course and coaching program empowers you to boost your monthly recurring revenue, master the art of strategic hiring so you know exactly who to hire next and how to hire, to kind of be searching around in the dark. Skyrocket your closing rate and amplify your profits while enjoying more free time. So, work less, earn more. That's kind of the goal. And we have the Micro Agency Academy to help get you there. It's a curriculum designed by Chris Lemma with coursework from him and ongoing accountability with Pete Perry. You can take 50% off the first month now with code GoWP50, and I will put a link to check out the Academy as soon as I'm done talking. So that's my spiel, and we are here today with Lindsay Halsey to talk about link building for agencies. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over. I want to say hi. We've got eMedia Hosting here and someone on Facebook, and I'll go check out who it is and say hi to you guys in the chat, and I'll pass it over to Lindsay.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Emily, and thanks everyone for being here today. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen here, and we are going to talk about link building for agencies. I know this may not be everyone's favorite topic within the field of SEO, but it is a really important one, and one that a place that we can have a big impact on our customers' business in terms of traffic from Google. So tell me if any of this is familiar to you or something you've experienced before. And that is, you created a great website for your client. It's user-friendly, content-rich, and lightning fast. And why can't people find it on Google? This is something that tends to happen for folks who have a brand new website that they're first launching. Another one is your client's blog post, an individual page or post is far away better than similar posts on the same topic on other websites. But why does it rank so poorly? And sometimes lower quality content and lower quality user experience and websites are outranking your clients. Really, when it comes down to this scenario, what we tend to see is that within the 4 pillars of SEO, sort of our framework for investing in a holistic approach to SEO strategy and action, our clients that are struggling with some of those types of issues are typically lacking in the field of offsite SEO. So they have a great technically sound website, they have excellent content, their on-site SEO is all dialed in. And yet there is this piece of the puzzle essentially that is lacking. And so if you look at the 4 pillars of SEO, 3 of them really relate to the client's website. It's a place where we have full control over the user experience and the content. And so it's a fun place to invest our SEO efforts because we can really take action. And then there's this whole world of offsite SEO that is a big part of the search engine's algorithm, because it's in this vein that we build authority and trust around a domain or around a business. And it tends to be, with your clients are in one of these two scenarios in some instance, the lacking piece tends to not be some technical SEO issue or something else. It tends to be essentially that their authority and trust scores and measures online are not high enough to play in that keyword space. And so as agency owners that are offering SEO services or consulting on SEO, we really need to be able to speak and act on this field of offsite SEO. And when you look to think about, like, well, where do the search engines figure out this trust and authority piece? How do they measure that? They really build that from kind of three core areas. Backlinks are the first place. So these are links from other websites that point to your client's website, and they act as votes of endorsement. That is a big component of offsite SEO. Then we have things like local search, being on a Google Maps and having great reviews and things like that. That's a place that's external to your client's website. There's third-party feedback and reviews, and thus it helps to build a cloud of sort of trust and authority around a website. And then also you have the social media side of things. And essentially, the social media side is the smallest of the offsite SEO components. And Google doesn't really do a great job of modeling the social world in the results in terms of kind of giving you credit for trust and authority. But those social media profiles that your clients have that then link back to your clients' websites, they do act as a form of backlink building. But what social media can really do is to help get the word out about your client's content, which in turn helps to lead to more backlinks. So social is the smallest of these three building blocks. Local search is a big space, especially for those businesses that have a local presence. And I know Trisha's been doing some really excellent trainings with you all in that whole area of local search in Google My Business or Google Business Profile Manager and Google Maps. And what we're going to focus on today is this very nebulous topic of backlink building. And I'm seeing in the comment that social media backlinks are no follow links. We'll talk a little bit about like what a no follow link is and how it impacts the results. But generally speaking, there is some small measure of sort of Google understanding that a brand has an active Facebook channel that is a little vote of endorsement in terms of building trust and authority. But looking at, if a client has a piece of content that goes viral, a blog post or so on social media, it's not necessarily going to also go viral on Google because Google's not really looking at that post that got a lot of engagement and using that as a signal to know that it should move up in the rankings for other, keywords and things like that. So that overlap with social, it's very small, and we'll explore that further as well. So let's talk about backlinks and really link building. Link building is pretty simply the effort to increase the number and quality of links to your client's website from other websites. So it's a pretty straightforward initiative. And when we think about link building, what we really think about are basically just places where you can go from one website to another. So this is a screenshot from the recommended resources page, if I can find it on our Pathfinder website, where we link out essentially from our website to other websites. And so when we do things like this, when we link out that is a vote of endorsement that not only users can follow, but Google can follow to understand that there's a relationship between Pathfinder and GoWP. And that relationship passes a little domain authority from one site to the other, and then the other site can link back and have that reciprocal relationship. So when we think about what we're looking to do for our clients, we're looking to help influence or increase the number of backlinks that come into their website. And that's the basic concept. But there are some other concepts around it about what makes a link valuable, because what we're really trying to do is build quality backlinks, much more important than a high quantity of backlinks to our client's website. And so the first thing that makes a link valuable is the quality of the linking website. So if you get a link from a website that looks spammy or that has a low domain authority, that link can either not really pass any value because it doesn't have value to pass, or if it was a really spammy situation, it could even be considered sort of a toxic backlink or like a negative backlink if Google thought that you actually went out there and paid or actively acquired that link. So the quality of the site matters a lot. If you think about the opportunity of getting a backlink from, say, the New York Times versus your local online newspaper, the New York Times backlink would be stronger because the New York Times website has more authority and more clout. And the link from your local paper would be great, but it just wouldn't be as strong because of that. So quality linking site matters a lot. Relevancy to your business. So what neighborhood it hangs out with and how adjacent that is to the neighborhood of your business. If you can get a link from your cousin's car dealership website, or you can get link from a genuine partner, you would pick the genuine partner because what you're trying to do is model the real world for the search engines online. So businesses have real world partnerships and community activities, et cetera. And really the relevancy factor is quite important. There needs to be some kind of a tie or an overlap between the two businesses and that it's not just a link for links purposes. And then there's this whole field of the architecture of the link. And so there's a few things that can make the architecture of a link better or worse. One thing that can make the architecture of a link better or worse is the number of links on the page. So when we think about essentially a page like this with multiple links on it, if this page had 100 links on it, we would essentially be linking out to so many sites. We'd be passing a little less value to those partners' websites. Where if this list is a little shorter, those links go a little bit further. And so that makes a big difference in terms of the architecture of the link. The other thing that matters in the architecture of the link is the text behind the link. All of these links are going to come from just the text of the name of the business. But when you think about if you put like your calling card in the footer of websites, I'll make this a little bigger, down here where this links out to the agency that designed or built the website, the text behind this link being the brand, in this case is a good practice. The architecture of that text makes a difference. It could say something like best WordPress development agency, and the phrasing of that would sort of help to add value. This starts to get a little bit more link building 102, but in this placement, I would definitely do powered by or built by, and then the name of the agency with the link. I wouldn't stuff in keywords like best WordPress, development company or something like that, because it's going to be a little bit over architected for Google's taste. And these links are a little bit powered at scale because this same kind of copyright powered by statement is probably on multiple websites that they've built over the years. So we don't want to over architect that link. Whereas if you are talking about the link in a blog post or something that goes over to a partner's website, then it might make more sense to actually include the actual text and to kind of architect it to include keywords. So the architecture of the link matters, how many links are on that page, what text is behind the link, and then you get this concept of a no-follow link, which is basically where you tell Google, I'm going to link to this entity, but don't have your crawlers kind of follow and give value over to that other entity. I'm not actually giving it that kind of SEO vote of confidence. And no-follow links happen in today's age. A lot of times to not violate Google's terms of service. So a no follow link may come out of an affiliate play because Google doesn't want there to be a financial relationship between the two linking properties. In the old days, there was more trickery going on here where basically you would negotiate a link exchange and one entity might put the no follow on their link and see if the other entity picked up on it. And some publishers just have a policy of putting no follow on their links. No follow is sort of a recommendation to Google, Google, don't give credit to this. But we know Google doesn't always follow those recommendations. And so there's still some intrinsic value of building trust and authority from a no follow link. Same with mentions without links. Sometimes we get mentioned in, say, some piece of press or an article, but the entity doesn't provide any link to our website. But having the name of the business or the name of the person in that offsite kind of reference is still a powerful thing if that site is a powerful, site. So the architecture of the link matters, along with many of these other factors. I'm going to answer a couple questions as we go, just because I'm keeping an eye on the chat, and feel free to jump in with more questions. But one is, are reciprocal links where you link back of less value than a one-way only link? In many ways, yes. The best value comes from getting a link that just comes right into your website, and then you don't link back to that site in some other place, because there's this idea it's like a one-way vote of endorsement. And it doesn't look like a link trade, but Google doesn't see it as a link trade if the underarching value of the link exchange is genuine. And so if there are links on the Pathfinder website, on our recommended resource page, and then in a handful of blog posts, anytime we talk about hiring copywriters or outsourcing copywriting, we're always linking over to GoWP. So there are probably, a half dozen or more links from Pathfinder to GoWP. And then on the other hand, GoWP links over to us in promoting webinars and different content and things like that too. So there's a lot of reciprocation in the link structure. And it's not necessarily, it's not architected. It's just sort of where it fits in naturally. In that capacity, I actually think that it's a value add. It shows a genuine two-way street, business relationship. And it makes one website not look isolationist, like they never link out, or they never sort of, they're just looking for links to come in. So linking out to valuable websites reflects back positively on your own website or on your client's website. So in that sense, I personally don't spend a lot of time worrying if it's a reciprocal link, kind of meaning an exchange, versus a one-way link. And I don't avoid it. Like if a client gets featured on a podcast, we may get a link from that podcast website, and then on their website where they have trust symbols about like also seen on or whatever it might be, and we list the different podcasts, we'll probably link out to that podcast. And so there will be reciprocal link, because it's good for user experience and it builds that trust on our own website. So you're always kind of putting user experience and trust building and things ahead of architecting the link dynamic, if that makes sense. Awesome. Let's go here. I've heard that having a link tree is a high authority follow link to have. I would believe that. I haven't researched that directly, but that link tree that then lets you put in your own links, there is some SEO value there. Again, it can be kind of architected and is something you own, but there is a signal there coming out of it. So kind of just like social media has links back to your website that you kind of can control as well. There's some value there, and there could be a stronger play that I'm even aware of, that the Linktree domain is pretty powerful and is allowing for that followable link. So let's talk about actually link building for our clients. And that is, when I think about link building, I think about how it starts in the sales process. If I am selling an SEO project, one phrase I often do is try to express to clients that this is a collaborative initiative. And that is that in hiring our agency, we can do, and then I use a percentage, like around 80% of the SEO for you. And we're going to request your participation in the other 20%. And that other 20% is going to end up being a lot of the link building piece of the puzzle, because we don't want to build sort of removed and remote links for our clients. What we really want to do is build real world links for our clients, which are going to require us getting in close with them, but then also them participating in the process. So I like to set the stage that this SEO business isn't something that you just hire an SEO company, pay a monthly invoice, and then never have to participate in. There is participation, often in the forms of collaboration on content marketing, but then also on the link building front. Then the next thing I like to do is in what we call the SEO assessment. Okay, great. I'm seeing the tip. I got to go work on my Linktree domain authority and look at the value there. That sounds like a good tip. in the chat. But anyways, as we get started with link building, we like to start by setting the stage with an authority. So in here, when we set the stage with an authority assessment, what we're trying to do is understand where are we starting this game, because we can actually measure or create a proxy measurement for this idea of authority. And in Pathfinder, we call it rankability. You'll hear Moz calling it domain authority. And other SEO software companies have their own sort of metric here. But what it really does is it ranges from 0 to 100. And the higher the rankability score, the bigger the strength of the site. And so what we want to do is we want to understand if the rankability score is high, then that's a really good signal that we're going to be able to play in a space. But there's no fixed number we need. What we really need is to be in with our competitive set. So when you look for a score here, what you're really trying to do is say, how does the rankability for my client's website perform against their competitive set? Like, what's the neighborhood ballpark range we need to be in? For some small local businesses, it could be in the 20 or 30, range on this scorecard, because local businesses generally don't have as many backlinks and as much strength. If you get into a more competitive industry space, like, you're working with law firms or insurance companies, that number is likely going to go up because those are more competitive spaces. And then when you go into the big world and you're dealing with kind of the national audience websites, you could be up into the 60s and 70s to be in a competitive landscape. And so what this does is it tells me early on if I have a strength or a weakness behind my link building kind of existing profile. And so if I'm ahead of my client, or I am ahead of the curve in my space, then I may not need to put my foot on the gas so much here. On the other hand, if I have a client's website and it has a rankability score of like 1 out of 100, and they have 2 backlinks, and they're competing in a space where most sites have 100 backlinks, and a score of something in the in the 20s or 30s, then my client is really going to need to actually double down their efforts on link building. And so by doing this assessment, it gives me quantitative data that I can then take to my client and communicate to them the state of where they are today, and if it's good, bad, or ugly, essentially in their competitive set. It also gives me sometimes fodder for answering those early questions, like, why can't I find myself for this keyword or whatever? Because you can show this to a client and they're like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. So we set the stage with an authority assessment to map where we are today within the competitive set. Then when we think about link building strategy, one of the things we really want to focus on is staying within Google's guidelines. The biggest things to do so are to avoid spammy websites and link building from spammy sites. We also want to avoid manipulative actions. So, things that are essentially kind of, it would be considered manipulative maybe to update that footer link to architect the anchor text to put something in like best WordPress agency. That's a little manipulative of the search results. And so that would be kind of a gray area action. And especially if it's done at scale. So any kind of link building where you can go and acquire 1,000 links overnight, something done at scale, whether it's bought or free or whatever, these are going to be things that violate Google's terms of service. And so what we really want to do to stay in Google's guidelines are simply to basically do holistic real world marketing that actually comes with a backlink. And this is why your clients need to be involved. So let's talk for a minute about link building strategies. And when I'm done with the assessment piece of knowing where they measure up, the next thing I like to think about is like, well, what can I do, or what can I get the client to do to actually build links in their business? And so I start to look at what link building strategies are going to be impactful for the business at hand. And the reason here is because not every link building strategy applies to every type of business. There are a lot of good ways to build a solid backlink network. And these listings here, the top 5, content marketing, partnerships, sponsorships and events, charitable giving, and PR, these are all things that are naturally happening somewhere else. They're not done for SEO purposes. And what you're trying to do is get a byproduct of link value out of those activities. The 6th one on here, citation building, overlaps with local search, and it is something that you typically do as a link building strategy. So when it comes to these strategies, what I like to do is remember the big picture, like what is it, but also to be able to communicate to clients this idea of how much value will it create, what the effort is, and what the cost is. And I put content marketing first. And the reason I put content marketing first is because this is how we can build often high value backlinks with a high amount of effort in general, because you have to write content and get it out there. But the cost is variable. It depends on how active the client is, and things like that. So, probably a mid-level cost in terms of link building. But what this really is just sharing your business or your client's business expertise on their website, as well as other websites. And it really works for businesses with an expertise on any particular subject. So you can do this on your agency website. You can do this for your clients' websites. And the typical tactics we're talking about are things you're already very familiar with. Blogging. So having a blog with, high quality written content that serves the client's audience, and it gets updated on a consistent basis. Then you can promote that content and get it out on social media for a broader reach. And you can also repurpose content by sharing it on social and then also engaging with it in email marketing. And you may not think of content marketing as being an offsite strategy, because really content falls into that on-site SEO piece of the puzzle and on your website. But what you find for many businesses, if we go and just look at the kind of authority and the backlink network on the fly here from Pathfinder, what you find is some of our blog posts over here that you're seeing, they've actually picked up naturally. We don't have a relationship with BigCommerce or Shopify or anything like that, but we have a lot of blog posts that have actually picked up links. So this piece of content that was written back in 2018 has picked up some really high value links from some large websites that have contributed to our overall strong domain rating. And so when we created this content, we didn't create it to get backlinks. We created it to share our expertise and to kind of and to share content and to answer questions that we often got. But the residual byproduct was actually quite high, and that is picking up a backlink. And so just investing in content marketing alone, something you do have control over for your clients and for your own websites, is actually a form of link building. So if right now the only thing you're doing for your clients, SEO is things on the activities on their website, technical SEO, content marketing, and on-site, don't feel like you've totally neglected the piece of the puzzle that is offsite SEO, because actually publishing a blog post helps to fuel their backlink network over time. It's all a long play, and it's one of those things that snowballs. You don't know which posts are going to pick up and get the traction from the powerful, domain in this instance, but by having a lot of at-bats, meaning getting a lot of content published over the years, it will happen. So content marketing is a strategy. Another big strategy is the one that we've really talked about quite a bit, which is partnerships. And the value here is high, the effort is medium, and the cost is generally low because the partnerships already exist in the real world. And this is where getting in close with clients makes a lot of sense, because if you can understand the way your clients do business, like who their adjacent industries are, then you can help them understand what tactics make sense for them. Should they trade testimonials and get listed on each other's sites? Should they do content exchanges? Should they have best of lists, et cetera, to try to leverage, those partner relationships? And so this is that idea of adjacency. And if I think about a business like an interior design company, they probably partner in the real world with general contractors, with landscape architects, with furniture stores that might be local. They may partner with actual brands of like rugs and couches and things like that, like large brands and entities. And so one thing you can do to help your clients is get in close with them and understand that landscape of how do they do business with partners, who do they refer, et cetera, and then start to think of, well, how do we leverage these relationships? And it could be as simple as getting the general contractor website to publish a testimonial from your client's website on their website that links back, where they're sharing basically a review of each other's businesses and things like that. Or there could be a best of list that your client publishes, best general contractors in their area, and links out to their couple partners. And then those partners could maybe create a best of interior designers in that area and link back. And so there are a lot of ways to leverage partnerships, which is really that idea of just modeling the real world online for your clients. Next area we have is sponsorship and events. And we actually did quite a bit of this when we started Pathfinder. And that is because we had no domain authority, no trust, and we wanted to get out there in the world. We wanted to go to conferences. We wanted to attend, speak, sponsor. We wanted to participate in the broader community. And so as we did at every event, we would kind of say, okay, should we pitch to speak? Should we get a booth and sponsor? Or should we just attend this one and go as a guest, essentially? And along the way, every time you do, you oftentimes pick up backlinks, because those events tend to have websites. They sometimes have attendee lists. They have sponsor pages. They have speaker pages. So every time you could get listed or included in one of those directories, you would pick up a backlink. Pardon. So that can be a really natural way of something you're already doing. And you can learn about this from clients by asking them, like, what industry trade shows does your team like to go to? Does your sales team, go here, et cetera? I just heard Emily talking about somebody on their team who's at a conference right now. Even if that person is at that conference as an attendee, maybe by giving that conference like an amazing testimonial that they can showcase on the conference website, that conference website would get updated, after this year's event, and showcase that testimonial and say who it came from and link back to the GoWP website. So there are so many ways to sort of leverage what you're already just doing that has nothing to do about SEO in a way that will positively impact SEO. And a lot of times clients just simply don't know these things. And so by getting to know your clients and having conversations with them that are not always structured in that capacity, it can go a long way. The other thing you can do is always host your own event. And then go get that event published in various places. So if I hosted some kind of a local event, I was inviting people, to our office, and we were going to do some kind of a live in-person training, or even just have lunch together. Maybe our Chamber of Commerce would put that on their website and link back to our RSVP form or something on our website, and then we'd pick up a backlink. So a lot you can do in this department. And then you have charitable giving. Many businesses invest in basically donating to nonprofit organizations and different charities. And the value of getting a link back from those charity websites is really high. The effort is generally speaking low, because it's really typically like a financial donation that was made that you're just going to get a link from. But the cost can be variable, because giving to a nonprofit and getting featured on sort of the Our Supporters page is going to be a highly variable activity. And there are different tactics here. One is just simply having a business make a donation to a nonprofit and get rewarded by getting listed as their list of corporate donors. So just a financial donation may be it. But there are other ways. My business partner is on the board of directors for her daughter's skating club. So it's a very, small nonprofit organization. They do have a website, and they have a page on their website that lists all the board of directors. And so it makes sense that on that website, she gets a link back to our company website, because there's a little bio and it mentions Pathfinder. And so it can link back to us. So this is another one that as you get in close with your client and you understand that they have these other activities outside of their work, and they may be involved in a nonprofit, they may be, into community service, there could be some link building opportunities from their bios. And then the other really common one is the idea of donating goods or services, to auctions and events. So if a business donates, like an e-commerce site donates something, a physical good, and they donate it to somebody having a nonprofit with a silent auction, then oftentimes that entity will link back over to their website, and that's a big win. So charitable giving is like a whole area or whole strategy that a client may rely on for their backlink building. And then you have the world of PR, and this is really, typically dedicated to larger businesses that hire PR agencies or have an in-house team. But that's not to say small businesses can't get involved in PR. Generally speaking, the value is high, the effort is high in PR, and the cost is variable. The tactics involve anything from publishing a press release to having press events, to pitching local media stories, and getting the word out about a business, being interviewed or quoted in an article that caters to the audience. There are a lot of different ways to get press. The old school way of just getting essentially a press release out there as a link building tactic doesn't really work, because Google knows you can just go and pay a couple $100 and get a press release out on the wire. So that used to be a strategy that you could kind of do independent of your clients. You could write up we used to do this, like, company does something. It was sort of a cheesy piece of, we're not a PR agency. We just sort of wrote something and then put it out on the wire and with the client's approval. And we didn't get any traffic or any real visibility, but we got a backlink, and it was a paid backlink because we did it for that purpose, but not at scale. And so Google picked up on SEO companies doing that kind of version of press, and press releases themselves have a lot less SEO value than they used to. The last of kind of the broader strategies that I wanted to review with you is citation building. And this is a little overlap with local search, but here essentially we can create business listings, adding name, address, phone number, etc., on third-party websites, and really these are any business with a physical address. And so it is common to get listed in online directories like a Yellow Pages or an Apple Maps, industry-specific directories. So you might have a website that has a directory of all things in one industry space, like real estate agencies or something. And then you have local directories, things like a Chamber of Commerce website that just has local businesses in your area, or I've seen sort of like the downtown whatever businesses association, and they have a website that has all the businesses downtown. Citation building is generally a medium effort endeavor because there are a lot of websites. Some of them require payment. And so, you have to pay to belong to your chamber, which may not be valuable enough for the link. So if there's some other value that comes out of the chamber membership, or you just want to be part of your community, that can be valuable. And then the value of these links is sort of medium. They're generally not, those huge wins of getting your content linked to from some really strong domain or something like that, but there's still value there. And these are things that you have a little more control on and can work on a little more independently if your client isn't participating. So when I think about link building for agencies, I think the two biggest, levers to be thinking about are, first, where is my client today within the authority space, that in the space they compete in? So is their existing backlink network a strength or a weakness? That's going to help you to gauge how much effort you need to place here and communicate that. And then how well do I know my client, and have I sat down and had these types of conversations so that I know which of these link building strategies are going to be applicable to their business, and then I can guide them down that path. I can say, okay, we're going to double down on content marketing and partnerships, and here's the recommended plan there. We're going to ignore these other strategies, and that's really because we're looking to have impact. We don't want to start if you have a client's website and they never are ever going to go on a podcast, or they're never ever going to invest in writing or approving, written word, then those aren't going to be link building strategies. And on the other hand, if they're extremely charitable in nature and they're part of a lot of nonprofit organizations and they're really active, then that charitable giving piece might be their only backlink strategy, might carry them quite far in the link building world. So those are my two main takeaways in terms of, what does it mean to engage in link building for your clients? And then also just to reiterate the piece about content marketing, that if you're not doing any of these other things, but you are doing content marketing, then no, you are still investing in a link building strategy. And one of the things that makes social become, in my mind's eye, something that fits a little more under that offsite umbrella is that sometimes it's via writing a piece of content and then sharing it on social media that other people see it, and then they actually think to link to it down the road. And so there is a piece that the more you can get the word out about a piece of content on social or email marketing is going to increase the likelihood of it naturally picking up a backlink. So these are all sort of the strategies, but what you can really see is to do these things, the client's got to come alongside the effort. They need to understand the importance of it, where they are, and what you're recommending. And then you can tee them up for success by being very specific to say, okay, you went to this event last month and you were an attendee. Let's, write a testimonial, email it to the event organizers, and maybe they'll feature it on their website. Or, okay, you donated to this nonprofit, they didn't, put you on this page. Let's go, shoot this email to them. The client needs to probably send the email, so it comes from the party with the partnership, but you can tee them up for success there as part of your monthly SEO offering, and kind of build this naturally into their business, this idea of link building, so that they don't feel like you're sitting down to do SEO or link building, but rather you're doing everyday marketing and you're just picking up on the positive byproduct when there is a natural link building opportunity. So I'll make sure you guys have access to this slide deck so you can kind of flip through. But what we're really trying to do when we help our clients with SEO is help them build expertise, authority, and trust. And the sites that excel in all of these areas tend to do quite well in the search results. And when we're getting out there, that middle section of this, a big part of that does come from starting to put your foot on the pedal, on the gas a bit in the link building area, but not in a spammy way or a way that violates Google's terms of service, and more in a real world or holistic way. Lastly, just a couple of notes about Pathfinder. Essentially, Pathfinder is a guided SEO product or software for freelancers and agencies who are looking to start, grow, and scale their SEO services offering so they can increase their recurring revenue. And in the Pathfinder software, you'll find process, documentation, and training so that you can deliver an SEO assessment setup in monthly SEO, even if SEO is a little bit new to you or you have a junior team member working on it. We have integrated tools for keyword research, keyword rankings, and monthly reports. And then we have a community component with group office hours and workshops to basically allow you to ask questions about SEO, learn from others, and get into the business side, like how do you package and price SEO services, et cetera. And we give you a lot of the templates and business resources you'll need. So those are just a couple of little notes there. And then I also want to make sure you have my email address. If you have any questions, it's here, and that's the best place to reach out. But otherwise, I did see a question or other comment or two in the chat, and I'll go and answer those. And feel free to ask more questions on today's topic or go beyond into just the general world of SEO, and I'm happy to answer it. It looks like there's a request and a good idea on how to maintain SEO performance when rebranding and changing to a new domain name. Yes, I think that's a really great topic, and I'd love to get that into the schedule for these training sessions. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I got one scheduled on that topic. Let me just double check. Yeah, December 12th. That's not the soonest. we'll have a session on that topic over at Pathfinder if that's of interest to you. But we can also try to get one into these sessions as well. I'm going to scroll back into the questions popping through, and feel free to drop a few more questions in there as I do. Okay, there's a good question at the beginning about disavowing bad links, and this debate in the world of like, some people say you should and others think you shouldn't, and some people say it's just totally pointless. So first, what is disavowing a link? Let's go to Google disavow tool. So a long way back, essentially, Google came out and said that we're going to penalize sites with spammy backlinks and people that built backlinks that are against our terms of service. And sometimes businesses or agencies have actually gone and built the manipulative links themselves. Other times you're sort of just like, they're just naturally out there on the internet and you did nothing to get them. You can't get them taken down. And you wonder, is this hurting my performance on Google? And so Google came out with a tool essentially to basically allow you to report to Google, I don't want you to give credit, I don't want any association. I didn't build this link, or if I did, I'm sorry, and I would have taken it down if I can, but that site is so spammy, they won't even let me take it down. And so what ended up happening as this tool came out is people started to make it like a common practice to go through your backlinks and look for the ones flagged as toxic or coming from low value websites. And then to go in and say, you know what, I've never, like this one, I have no idea what this domains, TNT code dot whatever. So I could go and disavow this link here. And then I'd go through this list and I'd take time, like this one here. We didn't build this link. I don't know if it's quality or not. But I could come in and I could try to disavow it. And so, but really, Google's really good at knowing what links not to kind of count into your profile or into your authority and trust. And so then Google sort of got overwhelmed. It's like, no, our systems are really good at detecting the spam and the low quality sites out there. And so really, we only want you to disavow if you have a like disproportionately high percentage of these lame links, essentially, and you actually think that they're causing a ranking traffic, impact on your website. So they have to exist in some sort of scale, and you actually have to like be able to measure or quantify that this is impacting your site. In which case, if these two things have happened, then you can go and you can create a list of disavow links and upload them to Google. And so this is not a practice we do on a regular basis for clients. We don't have like a quarterly task to go and scan and disavow links. But rather, if our client is new to us potentially, right? And so we're moving from another agency and they're like, this other agency, they tell us a story. They built these backlinks and blah, 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 and then they don't even connect it. And we're really not seeing good traffic. It fell off the map on whatever date. And you're like, oh, okay. So you kind of know that there was spammy link building done. And there's a point in time where there's not just like a slow decline, but there might be like a cliff in the traffic. You might have reason to believe that this would be a good activity to do and would be a valuable effort. Or if a site gets hacked and somehow there's backlinks and you think Google sort of fell for it, and so your traffic was impacted by that manipulative action out there, then another time you may come in and use this disavow tool. But again, it's not just like part of our everyday practice, because Google is smart enough to know which of these links just sort of we picked up that we did nothing to do or deserve that fall into that category of spam. So that's a really good question that most of the time it is pointless and just clutters Google's world, and we don't need to do that. But there is a time and a reason, and just read through the documentation to really be able to know if your client's site fits in that description. All right, I'm going back to the top of the list here. And I have a client that used bad SEO company in the past that built thousands of bad links. Yeah, I've seen it before. And yeah, the main question is, do you think those links are actually causing any kind of manual action? Or do you think Google just pushed them out of the their records as just noise, and they're not really having any impact. I think that's the hard thing, but the thing to focus on to determine if it's worth disavowing the ones that are the most toxic. Lloyd asks, how would you rank the importance of internal links between multiple services and location pages and Google Business as well as Google Maps? So that's a great question, Lloyd. And that really gets down to basically, we're talking about offsite links coming into our clients' websites, but we also have links within our clients' websites between resources and pages, et cetera. And those links also pass value between our own content and our own pages. And so if you have like your home page and you link into other pages, it's a sign that you're passing strong value from your home page, in this case, to the features page, et cetera. And so the biggest thing there about the importance is it is important. It's how Google kind of crawls your website and understands context. But what makes it important is the relationship between the pieces of content. And so if, for instance, your client has a piece of content on the blog, and then in this content, it could promote a service or something else on their website, it would make sense for this blog post to then link to a services page that's related to that topic. Alternatively, if you have a blog post in one place that might naturally link to like steps 1 and steps 2, then it makes sense to link there. And this wasn't a great example because it's just kind of on its own. But we have a lot of blog posts that are sort of in a series. And so here you can see like even just a section like this, it lets people and the search engines understand the context or relationship between these 4 pieces of content. And how that is interrelated. And that's good for SEO because it's good for users and the content is related. And so we don't want to like litter our blog posts with so many links you can't read the content and you get distracted and constantly taken to other resources. But where another page is either a valuable resource for like next step or deeper learning, or it's related to like the pitch side of things, the sales part of it all, then it's definitely worth including those internal links. And you can look in the Google Search Console and see your internal link sort of network that they're seeing. Let me show you here. So here's the Google Search Console. And if I come into links, this is a place where I can see what external links I have and internal. This is going to tell me like what I'm linking to in my website and give me a little bit of a view of essentially, am I linking to the content that matters most to me and giving some signals to Google that these are some of our most important pages or not? And I can look at it like in the blog, kind of, did I interlink things well, et cetera. Let's see. One more question came in. How do articles published on LinkedIn work into SEO? How can we use this for our advantage? So yeah, LinkedIn is sort of, it's, in some ways like content syndication, and others, it's a lot like essentially, just social media. And that is that Google kind of knows that you can publish your own content in those platforms. And so what it does when you republish content into a LinkedIn or share it on social or republish a piece of content on Medium is it widens the audience in the net, which increases the likelihood that somebody is going to see this and naturally then go and put a great link into it from their content or something like that. So it's kind of a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the end win, if that makes sense. Because what you're really trying to do is kind of get the word out about that piece of content and get it out there. I know I used to be a little more active on Twitter, and a lot of times I would see a post that a friend would share, and then it would stick in my like residual memory, and I would remember, oh, I'm writing about something, and it talks about something in WordPress, and I'm an SEO, I'm not a developer. I'm not going to weigh in on what's the best form plugin or something for a WordPress website, but I can remember a partner shared a link and I saw it on social, and so now in an effort to kind of be able to give my reader the place to go take a deeper dive and to be a good partner, I'm going to go and link to that piece of content. So that's kind of where that concept of LinkedIn or sharing on social is going to help your content rise. But by just publishing something on LinkedIn alone, it's not passing some major SEO value over to your site or your client's site. Awesome. Emily, I think we've gotten through the questions, but if you see something that I missed, please let me know, and I'll keep an eye here in case any last minute ones come in.
Yeah, I think you covered them all. I was keeping an eye as well, but I think you got to all of them. So that was amazing and really good questions from everybody. So thanks to everyone who's joining live and asking questions. It's really helps make the whole experience more valuable for everybody. And I see one person just commented, and of course, podcasting as a guest on YouTube channels and Facebook groups is great SEO as well. Yeah.
Yeah, just get out there and share your expertise. I mean, one thing right now, for instance, I'm talking a lot about the search generative kind of AI experience on in its impact on SEO and what's going on in Google. And we do that on our own, in our own training for our customers. We do that in webinar format as like a marketing thing. We can do that as a blog post. That same like nugget of expertise, that same thing is in those three places. And then you can go out and be like, oh, and I could go do this in a talk for a WordPress meetup group. And I could go do this as a talk for this like overlapping adjacent audience. And all of a sudden you take one piece of expertise, you get really sick of talking about it, but you can take something and go out and really build out a whole cloud of expertise. So last year I talked a lot about GA4, and that was really good for our SEO. That's not the primary reason you do it, but along the way, you build up that kind of step-by-step with every presentation, and you get a lot more value out of it because the first creation of that content, whether it's a slide deck, a presentation, a talk, a blog, a video, whatever it is, that takes a ton of time. And then you start to go out and get, rinse and repeat it. And then all of a sudden you get some economies of scale. And that's really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. I can second that. And with so many online events now as well, you don't need to travel all over the place either. You can talk, you can do webinars, you can go to the virtual summits that are out there. And when you get really good at pitching your topic, that's something that you get better at, even though it's the same content a lot of times over. Get that pitch down right, and you can talk at a lot of different events with different audiences and all of that. So along with backlinking, you're getting a bigger audience too. So I double down on that one. I like it. Cool. Well, I don't see other questions. We are about at time. That's perfect timing. Thank you, Lindsay, so much once again for a great topic. I'm looking forward to next month as well. I shared the link to your SEO webinar coming up in December, names and maintaining SEO performance. So folks, go register for on Pathfinder. Highly recommend, and check out what else Pathfinder has going on there. And I think I got links to everything else that were mentioned as well. So if you need to come back to this recording, or you're watching the recording, just check the comments and you'll see links to everything that we've talked about. And I see a tip: you can download transcripts of YouTube videos and rewrite and restructure as blog posts. Yeah, and with all the AI tools out there now, oh my gosh, you can get transcripts and turn them into blog posts, all kinds of stuff. There's so much you can do with content and repurposing that you couldn't do, like 6 months ago or 8 months ago. It seems like, it's really been a proliferation on what you can do with repurposing different types of content. So yeah, definitely explore that. And thanks for the tip there. So joining us today, thank you, Lindsay. We'll see you next month.